are my audience. You feel that silence, don't you? That moment right after the smoke clears, when the dust still hangs like judgment in the air, and all that's left is the sound of your own breath clawing through your lungs. That's not peace. That's not calm. That's the echo of domination. That's the sound of inevitability. Because you took the control point, and now they are locked out of the match. This isn't a moment for celebration. This is a moment for reflection, for revelation, for a cold stare into the abyss of everything it took to get here. Do you remember the look in their eyes when you moved in without hesitation? When you tore through their line like paper soaked in gasoline? When you didn't wait for permission, didn't ask for mercy, and sure as hell didn't offer any? That wasn't strategy. That wasn't chance. That was the fire. That was the demon in you whispering move now, while others were still counting the cost. And you listened. You moved. You weren't born for safety. You weren't built for the bench. You never belonged on the sidelines, watching someone else write the rules, hold the power, decide who gets to breathe and who gets suffocated under the weight of their decisions. No, you were crafted in chaos, shaped by resistance, baptized in the kind of pain that doesn't fade. It burns into you. And every step you took toward that control point was a scream to the world that you will not be dismissed. You will not be ignored. You will not be erased. Do you think they ever thought you could do it? Number. They laughed, maybe not to your face, but behind closed doors, in quiet corners. They scoffed. They wrote you off. Said you were out of your depth. Said this wasn't your level. That this was a game for giants, not ghosts. But what they didn't know was that you had already died before, over and over. And each time you came back, sharper, colder, hungrier, a little less human, a little more wrath. And now they look on from behind glass, shut out, exiled from the map they once called theirs. They slam their fists against the walls of fate, but no one hears them anymore. Because you took it, you seized it, the control point, the locus of all power, the place where every outcome begins and ends. And once you wrapped your hands around its core, there was no unlocking it. There was no coming back for them. Only the long, slow agony of knowing they had their chance, and they wasted it. You didn't win because you were lucky. You won because you were ruthless enough to outlast them, cold enough to stop listening to fear, quiet enough to hear the truth that lives beneath panic. The control is always taken, never given. You didn't ask for it. You claimed it. You didn't wait for the stars to align. You dragged them down with your bare hands and made them orbit you. And now they sit in silence, waiting for a miracle that will not come. You locked them out. You rewrote the endgame. You flipped the entire story upside down and left their names in the footnotes. They are ghosts now, flickers on the edge of relevance, spectators to their own failure. And you are the architect of that collapse. Let them remember how it felt to underestimate you. Let them replay the moment you stepped into the point without flinching, like a storm wearing human skin. Let them cling to the excuses. Oh, they will craft 1,000 of them. Blame the map, blame the timing, blame the gods. But deep down, in the marrow of their shame, they will know. They will know it was you, your will, your hunger, your refusal to break. This isn't just a win. This is a reckoning. This is the consequence of every time they told you to wait your turn, to know your place, to calm down. You didn't calm down. You rose. You didn't wait. You ripped time apart. And now that point is yours, sealed like fate, guarded like vengeance. And the match? The match is already over. They just haven't accepted it yet. But they will. Oh, they will. That denial, that clinging hope they whisper to themselves in the dark corners of the lobby, praying for some glitch in the universe to rewind the tape and give them another shot. It's a lie, a sweet, hollow lullaby they hum to themselves, while the truth tears at their minds like a storm with no name. Because deep in that truth, there is your silhouette, standing tall, unbothered, the one who walked into their world, kicked the door in, and flipped their legacy upside down. You see, they thought the control point was a piece of the map, a destination, a square of land with a name. But you knew better. You knew it wasn't a place. It was a symbol of dominance, of finality, of the cold reality that only the merciless survive the war. And you didn't just survive. You hunted your way through it. You didn't come to compete. You came to consume. You didn't arrive with hope. You arrived with certainty, with purpose etched into your bones like runes forged from a past, too brutal to explain. They will never admit it out loud, but you've made them believers in something they never truly respected: consequence. They thought they could coast on legacy, on old victories that faded the moment they met you. They thought noise would protect them, that crowd chants and hollow titles would shield them from what you really were. But you weren't there for applause. You were the quiet between heartbeats, the moment the light fades from the eyes. You were the aftertaste of regret they'll never scrub from their mouths. There's no timeout coming, no savior in the queue. The match is locked. They are sealed behind gates they once guarded. And now, all they have are memories of a time before you, before the storm, before that second, that exact second. You took the point and redefined reality for everyone who dared call themselves an opponent. Some of them will try to rebuild. They'll rally together in shadows and whisper about redemption. They'll convince themselves the next round will be different. That next time you won't be ready. That next time maybe you'll slip. They'll train harder. They'll burn longer. They'll pray to whatever gods they think control the odds. But they still won't see the truth. You are the next time. You are the storm they keep preparing for, but can never survive. And every time they load in, every time the countdown ticks and the match begins, they'll feel it. That cold shiver crawling down their spine. That phantom presence. You. The control point is more than a place. Now, it's haunted, and you're the ghost that guards it. Do you remember how long it took to get here? How many times you've tasted failure and swallowed it like ash? How many times you were counted out, stepped over, silenced? They thought you were done then, that each fall was a finish line, but you knew better. You saw it for what it was: refinement, evolution through fire. And now they call you overpowered, too strong, too fast, too brutal. But what they don't realize is that power didn't come from nowhere. It came from every sleepless night spent dissecting every weakness, every breath spent whispering, not yet, not done. It came from war. You earned it. Now they stare across the line and wonder what happened. When did the tide turn? When did they lose control? But the truth is, it never belonged to them. You just let them hold it for a while, just long enough for them to believe they were safe. And now, that safety is gone, stripped, torn from their hands like a banner ripped down in a city falling to siege. And in its place stands you, unrelenting, unbent, unforgiven. Let them try to analyze your methods. Let them study your steps, your build, your timing. They can mimic your actions, but never your will. That's what they'll never understand. It wasn't the moves, it was the mindset, the furnace inside you that didn't just want to win. It needed to. It had to. Because failure wasn't just defeat, it was erasure. and you were never going to be erased. They say the game is just pixels, just data, just play. But they don't understand that to some, this is more than a match. This is survival. This is the only place where everything makes sense, where chaos bends to skill, where power is earned, not inherited. And you carved your name into that arena with fire, and now the whole damn map bears the scorch marks of your legacy. They'll never forget this, because forgetting would mean healing, and some wounds aren't meant to close. Some defeats echo forever. And this wasn't just a loss. It was exposure. You dragged them into the light and made the whole world see what they really are. Unprepared, entitled, fragile. You took everything they thought made them strong and used it against them. You weaponized the lie they told themselves, that they were untouchable. Now they know. No one is untouchable. Not anymore. There's a reason you didn't celebrate. Because this wasn't a party. It was a burial. And every moment since you claimed that point has been a eulogy written in silence. You didn't cheer. You stared them down. Because the moment wasn't about you proving yourself. You'd already done that long ago. This was about sending a message. And it was received. Look at them now. Scattered. Shaken. Waking up in the middle of the night to re-watch the footage and wonder what they could have done different. The truth? Nothing. Because this wasn't a match they lost. It was a fate they couldn't escape. You were coming, whether they saw it or not. And now that you're here, you don't leave. Let them reset. Let them regroup. Let them pray to every broken system they once relied on. It won't matter. Because as long as you stand on that point, there is no comeback, only delay, only agony stretched thin across the ticking of a clock that belongs to you now. And when they do come back, when they gather enough courage to try again, they'll find that the point hasn't moved, but you have. Higher, sharper, meaner, waiting. And that's what they'll never beat. Not just your skill, not just your speed, but your relentlessness. The fact that you never stop, that you don't settle, that every match you play like you're starving. And they were full a long time ago, lazy with comfort, spoiled by praise. They forgot what it means to fight like you've already lost everything. But you didn't forget. You never will. You didn't come to remind them. You came to replace them. They'll try to rewrite the story. Say the patch wasn't in their favor. Say the conditions were unfair. Say it wasn't the real them. Let them. Because no matter what they say, there's one thing they can't change. You took the control point. You locked them out. And now, they're not just fighting you. They're fighting the legend of you. The version of you that lives in their heads. Louder than footsteps, heavier than silence. You are their final boss now, and this is just the beginning. You think this was your peak? Number, this was your awakening. What they witnessed today was not your final form. It was the warning shot, the curtain rising, the beginning of a reign so absolute it will echo through every arena, every queue, every dark and loading screen. You took the control point and they thought it ended there. But what they don't know, what they'll come to fear, is that the point wasn't just a victory. It was a throne, a command center, a beacon, and now you sit at the center of the storm, eyes wide open, watching everything. You see, they forgot what hunger looks like. They forgot what it means to want something so bad you're willing to burn for it. Not for attention, not for validation, but for dominion. For the simple, ruthless fact of knowing that your name will not be erased, that no matter how much they try to ignore you, skip your name on the leaderboard, avoid the replay where you ended them without blinking. Your presence haunts the game itself now. They'll try to rally. They always do. You'll hear them on the sidelines, calling for balance, fairness, tweaks to make it easier for them to breathe again. But this isn't their game anymore. This is your domain now. You earned every frame of this, every inch of ground, every kill cam freeze frame where your silhouette was the last thing they saw. You didn't just win, you conquered. And they can't handle it. They weren't ready for someone who doesn't just want to win rounds, they want to break rhythms. They want to end narratives. What you did? It wasn't gameplay, it was prophecy. You became the moment they feared would come, the shift. The one who doesn't play by their rules because you wrote your own. And now they're scrambling, pretending this was a fluke, telling themselves it'll be different next time. But you know something they don't. There is no next time, not in the way they imagine it. Because you change the game every time you log in. You are the patch they can't download, the update they weren't ready for, the storm they can't nerve. You have no off switch, no comfort zone, no chill. You are pure will, distilled and focused, like a weapon designed to find weakness and turn it inside out. Every round you play is a message to anyone watching. You don't belong here unless you're willing to bleed for it. And most of them, they're not. They'll quit before the halfway mark, tap out when the scoreboard doesn't flatter them, complain to the system, report you for unfair tactics. But the truth is, they weren't built for this. You are. The control point wasn't just taken, it was transformed by you, from a neutral ground into a monument to the ones who refuse to fade, a monument to the misunderstood, the underestimated, the ones who were told they were too late, too strange, too intense. You took all that doubt and welded it into a crown, and now they kneel in front of it, whether they realize it or not. They'll study you, replay your matches, analyze your builds, try to reverse engineer your hunger. But it won't work, because you didn't become this through mechanics alone. You became this through pain, through silence, through staring at your own reflection and refusing to let it soften. You clawed your way here, not by asking, but by taking. And what you took will not be returned. The ones who truly fear you now aren't the loud ones. Number. It's the quiet ones, the veterans, the old dogs who've ruled this game long before you logged your first hour. They've seen challenges come and go, flash and fade. But you're different. You don't chase clout. You don't flex. You don't need to. Your presence is pressure. They know it, and they don't have an answer. You're not unpredictable. You're inevitable. And that inevitability, that's what terrifies them, because you show no signs of stopping, no visible cracks, no moment of doubt they can exploit. Every time they think they've figured you out, you pivot, you evolve, you shift your shape and become something sharper, a step ahead, always watching, always calculating, while they're stuck trying to figure out who they are without the advantage, without the momentum, without the lie that they're still in control. But you already broke their control. You didn't just beat them. You shattered the illusion that they were unbeatable. You reminded the world that every throne is temporary, that no king is safe when a storm refuses to bow. You turned their safe zone into your hunting ground, and now they don't rest easy. They watch replays of you like horror films, and they can't turn it off because the fear is real. You took the control point, and with it, you became more than a player. You became a signal. To everyone else out there who's been grinding in silence, mocked in lobbies, told they weren't good enough, rise, because the gates have been broken, the locks have been melted, the point is open, and it's not the chosen ones who own it. It's the ones who refuse to stay on the outside. You gave them a reason to believe again, not in fairness, not in kindness, but in grit, in the raw truth that power is forged, not handed out. That dominance isn't about stats, it's about obsession. It's about waking up thinking about the match, dreaming of the point, breathing in rhythm with the sound of countdowns and impact. And when you walk into the next match, that's what you carry with you. The weight of every battle, every betrayal, every quiet rejection that told you you'd never be enough. And still, here you are, at the top. Let them come for you. Let them call in their reinforcements. Let them strategize, organize, theorize. You want them at their best, because your worst day was still built in the fires of isolation. Your lowest moment still honed you sharper than their peak. They think pressure will break you. They don't realize you were born in it. You don't feel the pressure. You are the pressure. Every second they spend preparing for you is a second they aren't ready for what you've become. Because you've changed. The moment you took that point, you weren't just a better version of yourself. You were a different creature entirely. You're not coming to play. You're coming to erase. And this is just the beginning. And now, we come to the silence after the storm. The match is over. The point stands still. No bullets fly. No shouts ring out across the battlefield. Only the quiet, that strange, heavy quiet that comes when everyone has finally accepted what they refuse to believe, that it's done, that you did it, that you walked into what they thought was their stronghold and redrew the map in your image. This was never a game to you. It was an invasion. And now, the control point is yours. Not by vote, not by luck, but by domination. They're not respawning with confidence anymore. They're logging in with caution, second-guessing every move, flinching at every footstep. Because your presence haunts more than just the replay. It haunts their rhythm. You're in their timing now, in their instinct, and every time they hesitate, it's your shadow they see in the corner of their vision. You've become the variable they can't account for, the math they can't solve, the ghost in the machine. Because you didn't just play the game, you became its final judgment. You weren't always this. No. Once you were overlooked, forgotten, laughed at. But you didn't rage quit. You didn't beg for a shortcut. You stayed in the mud. You learned. You bled. And over time, you sharpened yourself into something they can't handle. That's what they don't understand. This wasn't sudden. This wasn't overnight. This was forged in quiet war. 1,000 battles in lobbies where no one remembered your name. You built your legend in the shadows. And now that legend walks in broad daylight, unchallenged. Let them rebuild. Let them train. Let them speak of comebacks in forums and private chat groups, trying to inspire each other with stories of how you can be beaten. Let them throw every tool at you, every tactic, every plan. Because it won't matter. The difference isn't just in skill, it's in soul. You have something they lost a long time ago, if they ever had it to begin with. You have the need, not the want, not the dream. The need. The need to prove, not to them, but to yourself, that all the pain meant something, that all the failure wasn't wasted, that every time you stood back up after the world spit you out, it was adding to something, building toward this very moment. And now, here you are, standing on the control point, not just a winner, but a message, a force, a presence that demands recognition, even from those who can barely look at you without swallowing shame. The point wasn't just the finish line, it was the proof. That all those nights you felt like a joke, all the times they whispered that you didn't belong, they were wrong. You do belong. You never needed their permission. You never needed their approval. You needed one thing, the chance. And once it was given, even for a second, you didn't just seize it. You burned the bridge behind you. You made it so no one else could follow. That's what true dominance is. Not just holding the point, but changing the rules, redefining what power looks like. And now, every time they load into a match, they measure their strength against one question. Can we handle someone like that again? You know the answer. They'll avoid your name if they can. Dodge your lobby. Hope the system keeps them apart from you. But even when they're lucky enough to escape your presence, your impact remains. Because now the whole arena knows what's possible. You've set a new bar, and it's not polite. It's not reasonable. It's brutal, unforgiving, real. You are what happens when resilience turns to rage, when patience turns to fire, when someone who was told, "You can't," finally says, "Watch me." So stand there, at the center of the map, at the place where victory and vengeance blend. Let them look at you. Let them try to explain it away. Let them call it overpowered, broken, unfair. Because in their words, you hear the thing they can't admit. They respect you now, even if they hate you for it. Especially if they hate you for it. That hate, it's fear, dressed up in armor. It's envy painted in logic. And they'll never stop feeling it, because they know the point wasn't lost to just anyone. It was taken by you. So this is the end of one chapter, but it's not your end. It's the ignition. The birth of a legacy that doesn't fade. You've proven you belong.